We now focus our attention onto boxing once again. The fight that is scheduled for Saturday, May the 27th, 2017. Two names we know, Dereck Chisora versus Robert Helenius. It's an interesting fight. I think it's a good choice from Chisora. It's at a reasonable level after his war with Dillian Whyte. He's basically returning in a grudge match. He has one defeat on his record to Robert Helenius already, and he will be looking for revenge in this matchup against someone who got the win over him officially in Finland. But a lot of people felt that Chisora was robbed in that fight. A lot of people felt that Robert Helenius got the hometown decision and that Chisora actually deserved the victory. And Chisora is someone who, when you look at his record, he has got a few losses on his record. There's 26, 7 and 0, 18 KO wins in his 26 wins, 2 KO losses in his 7 losses. And yeah, there's a few decisions, some people look at and say, he's been a little bit unfortunate. And this was one of them. Dereck Chisora, Robert Helenius won. So this is a grudge match. It's a rematch. And he'll want to put that right. It's interesting that it's being held in Helsinki, in Finland again. So Chisora, again, never afraid to fight anywhere. Going overseas, he's fought all over in Europe. I think he fought Pulev away as well, abroad. He doesn't mind going abroad. He's not afraid. That's one thing about Dereck Chisora. He's good value. He's got good heart. And as he's shown against Dillian Whyte, he's still got something left. He has had a... It doesn't look like he's had that many fights when you look at the record, 26 and 7, I know. But he's been in wars. He's taken punishment. But he keeps coming back. He's very strong. He's very resilient. And I think he's very strong-willed. He still holds some hope that he may one day hold a world title. Um, I'm not sure whether that's 100% realistic. It's possible. He could do it. He'd have to find something more. But as I say, he's been through a lot. He's taken punishment. That fight against Dillian Whyte, in my view, was probably the last time we could seriously consider talking about him going for the route to a world championship. But I don't know. I've seen an interview with him on YouTube where he was talking strong. He was talking very positively, and obviously he would have taken a lot out of that fight with Dillian Whyte. There's an argument to say he won it. He believes he won it. He's not the only one. Loads of people say he won it. A lot of people said Dillian Whyte got lucky. So if he has that belief that he won the fight and he can produce performances like that still, then maybe he can go for it. Helenius' record 24, 1 and 0. So his record looks a lot more tidy. But he hasn't fought the level of competition. The thing is, Chisora's record is against really high competition. The Tyson Furies twice, Kubrat Pulev, who is in line for a title shot at the moment, David Haye. I mean, he's more known for the defeats on his record than he is the wins. If we look at his record, he's got a split decision loss to Dillian Whyte. He's got that decision loss to Pulev, lost to Tyson Fury twice. Fury obviously beat Klitschko. I mean, that's a great form line to let you know the sort of pedigree of competitor Chisora has been in there with. David Haye knocked him out. That decision from Robert Helenius, that's on the official record. We have to give that to Helenius. That's what it says on the book. He's got wins over Kevin Johnson, Malik Scott, Edmund Gerber, Danny Williams, Sam Sexton. His record is covered with names you know. That's the good thing about Chisora. He hasn't hidden from anyone. He hasn't run away from anyone. Any challenge that's there, he's stepped up to it. He's looked for the challenge. And so we have to give him credit for that. But I would say we kind of look at his losses as a selling point on this CV rather than looking at his wins as a selling point. So that's something to consider with him. But it's just part of him being a warrior. That's how he is. He has never shied away. He's fought everyone. Going back to Helenius, we said that he was 24, 1 and 0, 15 victories by KO. 1 KO loss. Basically, his record, he's got wins over Konstantin Iric. He's got obviously that win over Chisora, Michael Sprott, Serhij Liakovic, Sam Peter by KO, and Lamont Brewster. So even Helenius has got names. He's been around. He's a wily operator. He's very experienced. Both are very experienced. So this fight, there's a lot of different levels to it. There's a lot of experience involved. There's a lot of stake for both of them. If either of them has aspirations to talk about world titles, then this is a must-win fight for both of them. They're at that stage of their career. They're not spring chickens anymore. They're both at a stage of their career where they can't afford a loss in this one. So both will be motivated. Particularly Helenius fighting at home. He's going to think he wants to put on a good performance at home. He's already got that win already over Chisora. So he's going to be thinking, this is big for me. And Chisora obviously coming off the white robbery in his view. He'll be wanting to do the same. Now, we look at Helenius, that losses against Johan Dupar, which Dupar's a serious operator. He recently got knocked out by Povetkin. Nothing to be ashamed of. I seem to remember that was a bit of a strange situation, that fight. I think Dupar took it at really short notice, like really short notice. I don't know, I can't remember how long he had, but it was ridiculous. Like, he had no time to prepare. He basically just turned up and fought, which is strange for someone of his level, of his record. Dupar has been around. He fought Wilder and gave Wilder a tough night. Yeah, he fought at short notice and Povetkin cleaned him out conclusively. And I think there's other things to do in that fight to talk about as well. I'm not privy to the full details, and I can't remember the full details. But there was some talk about Povetkin and drugs, and his drug testing. I don't know if he has been proven to be on anything or not. I'm just saying there was some controversy about that. And the way the knockout was brutal, like the way Dupar got cleaned out in that. If Povetkin wasn't on something, then blimey, we better be scared of him. He's still got a chance at the elite level of heavyweight boxing, because the way he knocked him out, it was pretty conclusive. But anyway, that loss to Dupar, we're not going to hold that against Helenius. Dupar's a quality operator. He's a serious fighter. As I say, put on a great performance against Wilder, ranked highly. So that's not a loss that denigrates Helenius at all. And so going into this fight, it's all about who wants it more at this stage of their career. As I say, they're not spring chickens. Is Chisora 100% motivated and focused on that final world title tilt? Is he focused on showing Dillian Whyte that he deserves that rematch? That fight is sitting there waiting to happen, isn't it? The rematch. It promotes itself. We obviously had the table throwing incident in the first fight. We had Dereck Chisora taking offence to certain comments Dillian Whyte said. Dillian Whyte said something along the lines of, if I see you in the street, I'm gonna, these sort of like threatening comments away from boxing. Obviously, Dereck Chisora said, you don't talk about fighting or touching me outside of the ring. You only talk about inside the ring. We're boxers and we're men. That's how we operate. That's the sport. When Dillian Whyte started talking about outside the ring, Chisora took offence and had his say. There was bad blood. Obviously, the fight went the way it did. So it's still there. We all want to see that rematch, and it should happen. And I think when Eddie Hearn puts up the money, it will happen. Dillian Whyte, who has that fight against Marius Wack, is a hell of a tough fight. If he gets through that, and Chisora gets through this, then people will still be shouting for that fight. I think Eddie Hearn is the main force behind that fight, because the check that's going to sit at his table in profit from putting on that fight, it'll be handsome. So I think Eddie Hearn is the one who, little texts must be going out, WhatsApps, little calls at strange times. So Dereck, you sure you don't want that fight? Sure you don't want that fight with Dillian Whyte? Dereck Chisora isn't going to refuse that. That call would actually probably be to Dillian Whyte. It's Dillian Whyte who's been refusing the fight. Dereck Chisora's chasing it. It'll be calls to Dillian Whyte saying, Dillian, fancy that fight? Dereck Chisora the rematch, putting some big numbers in front of you. So yeah, that's definitely a possibility. Now in terms of styles in this fight, we have Helenius. He's very tall. He has a decent jab. Seems to fight a little bit off the back foot for me. It doesn't really push the issue. He can have bursts where he goes on a tirade. He has got a powerful punch. That's the big thing with Helenius. You've got to watch that jab, and you've got to watch him landing the big shot. He's a big man. There's big leverage there. If he catches you, you're in trouble. Chisora has a better work rate than Helenius. Has his guard up, walks in, tries to make it on the inside, tries to make it scrappy as much as he can. Doesn't really fight on the outside at all. Chisora's jab game, he has a jab, but doesn't really use it as a main tool. He'll be looking to get inside of the tall Helenius, mess him up, get the work rate and impose pace on him, dictate the pace of the fight. That's what happened in the first one. I thought Chisora did rule the pace in that one, did put the work in, did rule the work rate, and as a result could have got the victory on points, but that's not how it worked out. It was actually a hometown decision for Helenius. So you'll have Chisora chasing him down. His style's changed though, as we saw against Dillian Whyte. I don't know if that was a style just for Dillian Whyte, but he fought in bursts. He basically conserved his energy, had half a round off, and then put on a show at the end of the round. That shows the experience of Chisora. He's not been around 2 minutes. He's not a kid who's just showed up on the scene. He has fought everybody. He's been in there with everybody. And so he's using that experience now. He knows he's not a spring chicken. So he fights in bursts and, fights in to good effect. It works for him. Against Dillian Whyte, it really caught him out. There was times, I think Dillian Whyte thought Chisora was gassing or something. What Chisora was doing was just taking his time, taking a breath, using that experience, thinking about his strategy, how he was going to, um, attack in his next burst. And then he was just using his brain and using all that experience. And yeah, nearly did for Dylan White. His bursts were so strong from Chisora that when he came with that power and with that intensity in a short burst, Dylan White was in trouble. He took some heavy shots. I also have left out a major part of Chisora's journey is the fight against Vitaly Klitschko in 2012. Obviously a loss, a unanimous decision. It wasn't even, he wasn't even stopped by Vitaly. I mean, Vitaly, such a great legend of the game, Hall of Famer. One of my favourites, everyone's favourites. The way Vitaly fights, he's a real fighter, he's a genuine fighter. He's not afraid, very aggressive. That amazing fight of Lennox Lewis. So if you go the distance with Vitaly, you're not someone to be sniffed at. That's 2012, 5 years ago now, but still, not even that long ago. Went the distance with Vitaly. So we have to give credit to Dereck Chisora for a great career, and we have to give credit. I'm going to give credit to him now by picking him to win this fight, to cut to the quick. Right, the odds here: Dereck Chisora 1.57, so just over 8 to 15 as the favourite. 25 to 1, the draw. Robert Helenius 2.55, so just in excess of 6 to 4 on Robert Helenius. So I mean, looking at the odds, I like Chisora there. I would have thought the bookies would have had him shorter. My pricing is 2 to 5 Chisora. I think he'll win. The reason why, the motivation is there. He doesn't have a problem going away. Fighting in Helsinki doesn't bother him. He's going to know that he needs to win by a couple of rounds just to make sure. The work rate will be up. The experience is there. I don't even know if he'll have to fight in bursts as he did against White, because Helenius's work rate isn't up there with White's. So he might be able to just fight at a flat, paced tempo, keep his work rate going, much as he did in the first fight. Obviously, he'll be trying to land heavy to the body to potentially get a TKO. Although I don't see a TKO unless I see points in this. Chisora, he is heavy-handed. He has got a reasonable KO percentage. 18 KOs out of 26 wins, but so has Helenius, 15 KOs out of 24 wins. Don't see a TKO. I think it's going to be attritional. I think it's going to go the distance. Obviously, I'm not going to go for the method of victory. It's heavyweight. Things can happen. And both of them, I mean, if it was going to be a stoppage, it'd be a TKO, I reckon, a body shot, or just tiring, from sort of round 9 to 12. But I'm not going to bother with the method of victory. That's just my suspicion. It would be points, but I'm just going to take Chisora. 1.57. I think there's a bit of meat on the bone there. My pricing, as I said, was 2 to 5, so that's 1.4. A little bit of meat on the bone there at 1.57. I think he'll get it done. Helenius does have a chance. Let's not look past Helenius. I mean, his price 2.55. I don't know. It's about right. I don't see huge value there. That's the number on that. I can't really take Helenius. I just think Chisora's got that ambition. He's got the money factor. Money dangling for that rematch against Dylan White. If he loses this fight against Helenius, Dylan White has every reason to just write it off. He's already distanced himself from the rematch. I think Dylan White wants to go on a different path. Doesn't want to go backwards. He's talking about fighting people that are above Chisora, fighting people that are more of a challenger than Chisora, fighting people that are on the route to world title shots. I do think it's a little bit of an evasive strategy from White. He should really give Chisora the rematch. But there's no should about it in boxing. You do what you like. It's a business. He can do as he wants. He's avoiding Chisora. If Chisora loses it, that's probably it. Dylan White's just going to say, oh man, he lost to Helenius again. That's it. That's not. Don't even insult me by bringing it up. So Chisora knows that he wants that rematch. I think that ambition gets him through. I think the impetus of wanting to put right that defeat in the first fight. So there's a score to settle there. But I'm not going to write off Helenius. He has a puncher's chance. If you think Helenius, I'm sure the Finnish fans are laughing at what I'm saying. So Helenius is going to come out. He's going to use that jab. He's got the power. He's going to land a few big shots. He's a taller man and all this sort of thing. There's an argument for Helenius, but I see it for Chisora. Work rate, motivation, getting on the inside, landing just more shots than Helenius over the fight. So therefore, getting the points victory on work rate and industriousness. And yeah, that's it. So the lean on this one, the judgment for Saturday, May 27th, Dereck Chisora, Robert Helenius. I'm going to take Dereck Chisora at 1.57.